Okay, moving into the Civil War era, we've got some books on rifle muskets, various breech-loading carbines, very Civil War guns, a lot of Confederate stuff. So we'll take a look at those. We've got two copies of Fuller's book, The Rifled Musket. This clearly looks like a more recent reprint, and for its time, it was very much a classic. A lot of information. He was working firsthand with the records, and you can see a lot of those records are reflected here. Great information. And just because it's old doesn't make it any less valid, any less important than when it was first gathered. I think these books were first written back in the 30s, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not sure. This copy, very nice shape. The second copy, once again, the book itself is great condition. Dust jacket, a little bit of wear and tear on the edges. And this particular volume was copywritten in '58. I didn't see a copyright on the reprint, but I'm going to take a guess it was maybe in the 70s or 80s. Looks relatively recent. Good book. And here is a book on Hiram Berdan by Roy Marcotte, and I believe Marcotte wrote on the Sharps rifle. But in any event, this is a heck of a book. Really, a lot of history, tremendous amount of research. It covers Berdan rifles that, of course, were adopted, utilized by Russia. A lot of good information about the very scarce early Russian single-shot breech loaders. And I'm tempted to keep this one because I do collect in some of these areas, but I'm gonna make up my mind about that at some point. But a lot of information here, and Mr. Berdan, he was quite a character. A lot of history involved here. Good book. Okay, and here we have a paperback, Carbines of the Civil War, and nice summary. Not the most definitive, not the most detailed reference you're going to find, but lots of good information. And here is another early Civil War book. William B. Edwards, he was a big author back in the 60s. Civil War Guns. Lots of information. It looks like Mr. Edwards put a lot of time into this book. And this probably dates to the mid-50s. I take it back, 1962. But a nice book. Okay, here we have a book, and this book, if I recall, was published without a dust jacket, so it's not missing. It's Confederate. Let's see if I can get this better here. Confederate Carbines and Musketoons by Murphy. And it looks like it's John Murphy, MD. And you hear the pages crinkling and cracking because I don't think I've ever opened this book before. but looks like a great book, probably a definitive book on Confederate long arms of the Civil War. And I believe this is a very scarce book, a very hard to locate book. I believe it was published, it says 1986. It was published in a standard edition and a deluxe edition. I'm going to assume that this is the standard edition. Okay, we've got Confederate Edged Weapons by Albaugh, I'm not certain how to pronounce the name. I'm sorry if you're out there, Mr. Albaugh. I think we are missing a dust cover on this book. And lots of line drawings. Excellent book on Confederate edged weapons. Something I'll just never get into. Nice book. And here we have Confederate Handguns by same author, along with Hugh Bennett and Edward Simons. And this book has a dust jacket. Book is in very nice condition. Dust jacket's in nice condition. And it's like most of the books we see from the 50s and 60s. You're not going to see the glossy color photos, and this is copywritten in 63. But the information, it took a lot of work to obtain that information and to reflect it in the books. And going back then, they were using probably first-hand references, and they had the opportunity to go hands-on with guns that, frankly, we're not going to see today. These guns are in collections, they're in museums. You're just not going to be tripping over these guns like you were back in 1963. Great reference.